Hey, thanks for checking out the channel. Today we've got a very special conversation with the unstoppable Angela Lee. Angela Lee rose to a great deal of fame in the MMA world, where she was a fighter for one championship. She was the atom weight champion until she decided to give up the title, to retire from fighting altogether, and to focus all of her efforts on mental health after tragedy struck her family and led to her telling her story and launching what she calls FightStory. We talked to her about her career, getting into MMA, becoming that atomweight champion, and of course, the decision to leave the fight world behind and focus on what she's focusing on now. Remarkable person, remarkable conversation. This is Angela Lee. You never know who's going to pop by the Notsam studio, and here we are, the unstoppable Angela Lee, dealing with the New York weather. And yeah, I mean, it is, as somebody who for so long was so well known for taking so much punishment in competing. Does the weather still affect you?
Yeah, 100%. I'm in this winter coat.
Yeah, I noticed
shivering. Yeah, it's chilly over here.
Yeah, I for some reason I felt like if you're okay getting punched in the face over and over again, then how bad could the weather be? But I guess it's two different things.
Yeah, it's one thing training for something, expecting it, and I knew it was going to be cold over here. I did pack my layers.
Yeah.
But when you feel that, and I think it's the wind chill, the wind, and wow, I'm just like, yeah, looking forward to getting on a plane back home to Hawaii soon.
Yeah, that's true, because that's true. It goes into the preparation, right? Because you look at the temperature and you prepare for a certain thing, then the wind chill hits and you're like, I wasn't prepared for this. Yeah. I knew I was going to get punched in the face. When I got punched in the face, I did not know it was going to be this freezing cold. How does one, like, how do you, I don't know if it's a psychological thing or a physical thing, prepare to get hit? Because that's one of those things that, like, the human instinct is, you flinch even if somebody's getting close. Like, how do you prepare to not only understand that you're going to be hit, but to just plow right through it?
That's just due to training and preparation and, thousands and thousands of repetitions. Being ready for whatever's thrown at you, being able to react in the right way, and planning your next step of forward, or what you're going to do from there. So, I mean, the fight game, everything is so instant, and you need to be able to make those quick decisions, like on the spot. Yeah, a lot of training.
Yeah, I guess so. I just can't imagine, like, is it in the sparring? Like, you're like, okay, like, I know what this feels like. Because I just feel like it would be, it's that, like, it's that instinct in you, right? Where, like, when you stub your toe on a table, there's like a almost like a rage wave that goes through you. But I guess the rage wave could be really helpful in a fight situation.
I think it's a combination of getting your body accustomed to, what that's going to feel like, what it feels like when you get punched in the face, or when you kick an elbow. That's really painful too. Yeah. Never get used to that one. But yeah, I think it's just your body, training your body to get used to it, and then being able to focus on the task at hand, which is, you're dealing with a million different things.
Yeah.
And then how are you going to keep moving forward to your goal, which is finish the fight? Yeah.
When did you start to get really comfortable with it? Because, like, the things that I've seen you do, I mean, you're so right when you talk about the million things that you have to be thinking about. Like, I've watched you in these fights where you almost you remember, oh, I got these legs. Like, I'll just choke her with my legs real quick. My arms are over here, but I can wrap my legs up real quick. Like, you have to have such an awareness, not only of every muscle in your body, but an awareness of every muscle in you, where your opponent is at all times, right?
Yeah, it's and that's the beautiful, complex thing about MMA, is that it's really everything.
Yeah.
You have to worry about the stand-up, the striking, the transition to the ground, the wrestling, the cage fighting, on the ground, the grappling, and not just the grappling, but the ground and pound in between all areas. But that's what I loved about it. I loved that it wasn't just specifically one thing, and that even if you're not the best in the world in one individual area, you can make up for that in just the flow of transitions, in how creative you can be in chaining these kinds of attacks, and just the diverse range of attacks you can have, finishes from pretty much anywhere.
Yeah. So is that and is that, do you train like sequences? Like, do you go like, okay, if I can get this, then it can lead to that, and it can lead to that, and it can lead to that, and we can weave off in all these different directions?
Yes, that's very much, the training and how my coach coached me is having all these different paths of what could possibly happen. Okay, you have this option, and if that doesn't work, you go to this second option. If that doesn't work, you go to the third option. And, each and every movement has usually 3 to 5 different options of what you can do from there. And so it's like ultra prepared for every possible scenario.
Yeah, and I guess that's the skill, right? Is not only knowing how to execute the maneuver, but knowing in that moment which of the 5 options to take.
Yeah, and being able to make these decisions just on the spot. Sometimes, you make a mistake or you make the wrong choice and you pay for that, or you gotta, fix what situation you end up in, and take a while to get back on track. And, the fight game is far from perfect, but you train so hard and you map out all these possible scenarios so that you can increase your chance of having the fight go the way you want.
You won the atomweight championship in one when you were 19, right?
Yes.
When you're 19 years old and you're stepping up to the plate to potentially become this inaugural champion, do you like? I think about where I was at 19 years old. I wasn't confident enough to do literally anything. Like, there was nothing I could have been the best of at 19. At that point in your life, were you like, no, I'm fully prepared and I'm ready to be this champion?
Yes, but also I was nervous and I was, scared, thinking of all the possibilities, the scenario in which maybe I don't have what it takes to walk away from this fight and become the champion. Part of me knew, I said, I've been training my whole life for this. This is this title is supposed to be mine. I'm going to fight for it. And then the other side of me, who's, my inner critic telling me, oh, I don't know, can you do it? Like, do you have what it takes? And so there was a huge battle going on in my head before I even stepped into the cage.
Right. And I guess that's the first battle to win, and then you win the other battle. At what point did you realize that you could really make a career out of this? Because you started training so young, but also women's MMA fighting was not what it is now when you first started training, right?
Yeah, correct. But the funny thing is that I never really thought about or viewed it that way. It never really affected me because I just knew I'm just doing my thing. I'm training. As I got older, I started competing nationally, internationally. And when I saw all the different possibilities of what life could be like, being able to travel, see the world, and do what I love, which is to fight, I knew, I was like, this is what I'm going to be doing after high school, after graduate. And, starting to kind of carve that path out for me, 3 amateur fights in Hawaii and then turning pro. That was a quick transition, but for me was everything that I knew I wanted. And so even though it all came really fast, I was just loving every moment of it.
Yeah. Is it, this is a dumb question, but is it more difficult to be disciplined on that level in Hawaii than anywhere else? It just seems like Hawaii is like where you go to just completely relax. And so the idea of like nose to the grind, but also you're in Hawaii, seems more difficult than like here in New York. If it's the winter, it's great to lock yourself up in a gym, right? Because it's warm, you don't have to go outside. But in Hawaii, it seems. But there are a lot of great fighters from Hawaii.
Yeah, and it's funny because growing up, I spent so much time in the gym, so much time training, and people would literally ask me that, like, "Oh, aren't you on the beach all the time surfing?"
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "No, tan." I'm like, "What?" I'm like in the gym training. I'm like, "I don't even know how to surf." So I had a different, I guess, version or childhood or like upbringing because my focus was so much around martial arts that I mean, the moments I did get a chance to go out to the the beach. My gym is like literally 20 to 30 minutes away from the beach. But I never got out there as much as I would have wanted to just because I was either training or resting at home and transiting in between, especially during, fight camps.
Yeah.
And I'd just go to the beach after a tough fight to unwind and have a great reset day and then get back in the gym.
Yeah. Are you doing it a lot more now? Are you spending a lot more time on the beach these days?
I am. And I really appreciate that. And I love that. And I'm like, this is what I could have been doing this whole time.
But at least you've earned it, right? There's some people that are just total beach bums that it's like, no, I've been doing this since I was like, 10 years old and I've never done anything else. You've, in a very relatively, I would say, short period of time, put in such a tremendous output that it's like, yeah, you deserve some beach days.
Thank you. I mean, everyone needs some kind of downtime, some kind of outlet to unwind. I think life gets busy and sometimes we get so caught up with work or school or pursuing whatever we want. And that's great to have that drive and ambition, but having that balance of, okay, life's getting too busy, too crazy, take a step back and just have a reset for your body, your mind, your spirit. And I think that's so important, so necessary.
Yeah, I think so too. You were talking about the quick transition into pro fighting, like 3 amateur fights and boom, you're a professional. How did that happen that quickly?
So I got my first amateur MMA fight shortly after my 18th birthday.
Wow.
I turned 18 in July. I think my fight was in August.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I was very excited to get into MMA because in Hawaii you have to be 18 to fight MMA. So growing up, I was always, training MMA as a whole, but not being able to fully compete in MMA. So I do like pancration as a kid, which is pretty much MMA without head contact. And then I'd compete in lots of grappling, kickboxing, boxing. But yeah, I was super excited. As soon as I turned 18, I was like, yes, this is my time. And the 3 fights were all in Hawaii. They were back to back pretty much. And we were actually looking at getting 2 more fights in before transitioning pro. But the opportunity came as we were starting to look at professional organizations to get into. We heard about One Championship. And it's funny because my dad is actually from Singapore. He's born in Singapore and his family's there. And growing up, I would travel to Singapore. I would go there and never once did I see anything about MMA, martial arts. Like, they didn't even have like any MMA gyms there. And so when we were like, there's a new MMA organization in Singapore, we were like, what? And we dug more and did more research and found out that Matt Hume was the matchmaker and vice president of One. And Matt and my dad had known each other back in the day when my dad was training in Canada and he'd go and make the trip out to Seattle where Matt was. So they knew each other, and even afterwards, Matt said, I met you when you were a baby, when you were 1 year old, or not even 1. And so, all of these things kind of started to point us in the right direction of like, hey, maybe we should check out One. And so we did, and it was the best decision, for me, for us, and had a great experience, grown so much.
Yeah,
and lots have happened since then.
Yeah, a lot happened, and so I feel like not only did you win this championship, but you also became one of the real faces of that organization. Like you were kind of a breakout star. Was that something that you were ready for? I think it's one of the things that's really interesting to me about MMA is that you put in all these years of training and training and training, but I don't know how many people realize that when you get to the top, you're also now in the public eye, which is not something that anybody trains for, right? Is that something that came easy to you naturally, or was that difficult?
It's funny because I remember talking to Chaudhry actually. When I was signed to one and it was the early days and he said, your life is going to change. It's going to be different. And me being 18, 19 years old was like, okay, I'm ready, And, but that was my attitude throughout this whole thing was that I was just, happy to be doing what I loved. And so everything that I was asked to do, media and, going out and engaging with the community, the fans, like I love to do it. Honestly, some people it's not their thing, but for me, I was just happy to do what I love and to have this experience. So yeah, it's crazy. It's like in a blink of an eye how fast everything happened, and it doesn't even feel like it's been 8 years. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, because it's all moved so fast, right? I mean, like you said, so much has happened. So you've a few months back 2 months back, you decided to officially retire. You put the title down. I think a lot of people were surprised, and it was I think a sad day for MMA fans. How long did you grapple, for lack of a better term, with that decision and going like, is this something that I need to just take a beat on, or am I really done?
Pretty much the whole year I was, thinking about this, thinking about what's next and about my fight career, what's going to happen. And I gave it a lot of thought and a lot of reflection. And it all went back to, well, why? I started fighting because I loved it. I truly loved it. It was my passion. And I still do love it, but not in that competitive way where I can see myself stepping in the cage, testing myself and putting myself out there like that. And I just knew, I was like honest with myself. If I'm not ready to do that, or if I'm done with that, then that's okay. I said, like, you don't have to prove anything else. There's why,
Yeah.
And so I just knew it was the right decision, and it was an incredible event, and to see the main event be for what was supposed to be the interim belt, but actually ends up being for my belt. And then to have an amazing women's card with all, like, just to see how far we've come in the, mixed martial arts industry in one championship, being able to really step back and be like, wow, and, I proud of myself for everything that I've done, but then also with my journey with one. And I think it was just the perfect closing chapter.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and you looked at, when you stepped away from that show that night, what was the feeling like? Was it like, oh, what did I do? Or did you feel like you feel now, where it's like, yep, that was exactly the way it was supposed to happen?
No, yeah, I felt just at peace and happy, even happy to be there. I guess like passing the torch to the next champion of the division, and excited to see where it goes, and at peace with closing that chapter, saying goodbye, and yeah, just excited, looking forward to the new chapter with FightStory.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a really incredible thing and really impressive thing to me, what you're doing with FightStory, because I mean, you've dealt with so much, going all the way back to 2017, but really especially in the last year with losing your sister, and the fact that you've been so public with all of it. And like, meeting somebody like me or whoever else you're talking to for the first time and going like, here are some of the most intimate, painful experiences I've ever had to deal with. How difficult of a decision, or how difficult is that for you to do? Because I mean, I can't fathom that.
Yeah, it's thank you. It is difficult, I'm not gonna lie. Just because everything is so personal and a lot of emotions involved. But what I can say is I know it's not for everyone. Going out there and talking about these things and bringing up hard topics, hard experiences. But for me, I know my why and why I'm doing this, and that's more important to me than any temporary discomfort I may have when I talk about it. And it's because what I'm trying to do here, talking about my journey, my story, talking about mental health, it is really important. There are so many people out there who are feeling that way, who are feeling alone in it. And, my message is just to let them know that you're not alone. We're in this together. We're all fighters, and every day is a battle, no matter how big or how small. And, just keep on going.
Yeah, you wrote this amazing piece for the Players Tribune where you went over all of this stuff and why you're doing FightStory and what the road and kind of your story and what the road to get there was. And I thought your story specifically was so valuable because, the story was that in 2017, when you were in a car accident, the people knew you were in the car accident, but it hadn't been reported until you made it public that it was intentional, that it was an attempt to take your life. And I mean, I just feel like stories like that, where from the outside looking in, you're on top of the world, right? And like you just said, since you're a kid, you've dreamed of being a fighter. And you're a professional fighter, you're a champion. Like the whole world's eyes are on you and you're being applauded for your life's work, but still there's this thing in you that you can't shake. And I mean, you talk about in the moment, it was about making weight and the pressures of the fight and everything, but it's all so much bigger than that. I feel like those stories, because I think those are more common than people realize, that the people that are struggling that deeply, as clearly you were, on the outside could seemingly have everything, right?
Yeah, and I think that, a lot of the time the issue is that, everyone sees you in this way. You have all of these things going for you. But you can still have that and still struggle. Just a lot of times people are really good at not showing it and hiding that. And I think the reason why is because of fear. We're scared to show the world, our family and friends, that we aren't perfect, and but we're never meant to be perfect people. We're human, and to be human is to be flawed and perfectly imperfect. And I just want to let people know that it's okay, and I understand, because I've been there as well. And I understand that there are people who may not understand. And, but there are people out there who do, because they've been through that. And those are the people that you should seek out. And they're going to be with you through the highs and the lows. And, I've found my support system, my people. And that's what FightStory is going to be for people as well. They're going to be that community, that safe space for people to feel seen and heard and understood.
You talked about in 2017, when the accident was reported as you falling asleep behind the wheel, that you did tell the truth to your husband, which I'm sure was incredibly important for you to know that, like, this person, even if it wasn't public, that at least you had this person who truly understood or was aware of what you were going through. When that was being reported and like everybody was kind of talking about it and fans were talking about it and sports media was talking about it. I mean, and it would come up as the years would progress. Was it difficult for you to kind of know inside like what that event actually was and what you were going for and what you were going through as it kept being brought up?
Yeah, it was very difficult because I'm an extremely honest person, and I like to be transparent and authentic. So it was very difficult to not be able to share. And it was because at the time, I just didn't have that strength in me to really come forward and tell the world or tell everyone that, hey, this is what I was going through. And, but the reason why my husband was the only person who I told was he was actually the only person who asked. He was the only person who asked, hey, what really happened? You fell asleep. Like, can you talk to me? And he's the one who started the conversation. And so I felt safe enough to open up and trust him with what I was feeling. And so if he didn't ask me that, I don't know if I would have told anyone. And, so it made all the difference in asking. And I think a lot of times, people don't want to ask these questions. They don't want to offend anyone. Sometimes they don't know what to do with the answer. But it's really important to just ask, just check in. Sometimes people really need it. They need that question. They need that space to be able to open up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And that leads to having that support, right? And now that, okay, as I'm dealing with this, he understands that I'm dealing with this, and we can talk about that. When you retired, how did the rest of your family take it? I mean, because I think that's, to me, what seems like it would also have to be difficult, that this isn't just you retiring from your profession. Like, you signed up to be a fighter, and even though you're very young in your career, had accomplished a lot and said, okay, I'm done. This is something you've done for your entire life. This is something you were raised to do. This is something that, your parents taught you how to do as a child. How much did that play into your decision, and how did your family kind of take it? I mean, your brother is a fighter. The whole family's involved.
Everyone dealt with things differently in their own way after what happened, after Victoria passed, and everyone's still working really hard on healing. For me, I just knew I had to do what I thought was best for my decision moving forward, and what would be the most healthy. And for me, I know my why, and that's led me to my decision to retire and to focus on FightStory. But everyone is different, and for my brother Christian and for my younger brother Adrian, for them, they still love training. It's their outlet. It's something they enjoy. And so, they're going to continue on, and I have nothing but support for them because, you got to do what's best for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's that's certainly the message with everything. Who did you meet, or who have you talked to through FightStory that made it so, like, because this isn't something you can do on your own, right? You can't just sort of decide, like, okay, I'll share my story and then everybody will share their stories. Like, are there professionals that you spoke with, or are there people in your life that seeked you out to say, hey, if you're comfortable, we can make this an outlet to help people get out their own experiences and kind of work through them the way you did?
Yes, there have been so many individuals who have reached out to FightStory. just to help support our mission. And there's been other nonprofit organizations that have reached out, and we have teamed up as partners to direct people to the right resources, because we're not going to be able to do it all and have it all. So the more people that we can, direct to other organizations, the more the better, as long as people are getting that help they need. We've been able to create a team at FightStory. We're still growing, but some of my close friends, and actually one of my teammates is now one of the board of directors, and we have a team, leading for just financial fundraising, because that's what we're going to need to raise the funds to make these programs accessible for everyone. So right now we're very much in a developmental phase. We have programs listed out and ready to go for the new year. We just need to put things together to make that happen. We've been able to connect with amazing specialists in nutrition, recovery, and emotional well-being and mental health. And this special team is going to be collaborating with me to create an online course where we can make it accessible. This online course is going to be geared to combat sports athletes in particular. So making sure that fighters have access to the right kind of educational materials to help better not just better their performance as an athlete, but really taking care of themselves and for life outside of the sport as well, because I think it's just really necessary. You don't see anything like that. There's no support for fighters and their mental health, and there's no space for that. So we're hoping to do that with FightStory.
How much of what happened in 2017 do you think was exacerbated by what you were doing in terms of training, meaning, fluctuating diets, lack of sleep, heavy training, stress about this big fight? I think, and I feel like that's what you're getting at when you're talking about professional athletes having to so much on their plate. Like these are things that you truly have to deal with. Do you feel like all of those aspects played a pretty big part in what happened?
Definitely. And I talk about it all the time now, how physical health and mental health are very much intertwined and one and the same. And so as an athlete, when you're pushing your body to the max and not taking care of it in the way it needs, it's going to affect your mental health. Same vice versa. If you're not taking care of your mental health, it's going to show up and it's going to manifest itself physically. And it's all about finding that balance. And that's what I wish I knew. And how important it is to get out of that tunnel vision mentality where this one thing is the most important thing in my life. It's my world, when really you have a whole world outside of that. And life is so much more than just a world title or your job or your, whatever it is that you have in life, and it's just about, really finding that balance, because we want people to strive for greatness. We want people to be motivated and chase after what they want in life, but making sure that you have a balance and that, you're still able to put your health first through all of that.
What do you do now for balance? Because losing your sister at such a young age and so unexpectedly is, as bad as it gets. And to couple that with speaking about it publicly, which, as I said before, is so difficult. Add to that you're coming public with the story of your darkest time. That's a really heavy thing. How do you balance your life so that you're not carrying that with you all the time?
I have to be honest, and when I'm talking about what my health looks like these days, every day I'm trying my best to wake up and do something good. Find something good in the day and focus on that. Because if you think about all of the things that are difficult and sad and really just tough in your life, you're gonna get pulled down and you're gonna get consumed in that so quick. You know, it's a lot easier said than done. Just focus on the good. Trust me. But, you know, it helps. And for me, what I've been finding is that, you know, finding little moments of joy or beauty, and taking notice of them, because, you know, a day goes by so quick. And now that I have my daughter, actually, it's taught me to kind of slow down and appreciate these little things, because each of those moments count and affects how we view our day, how we carry ourselves forward. We can really change our own mentality or how we view things. We have that power within us, you know, to be in the darkness or to see the light. And, you know, it's hard for me. I have my days where I am overwhelmed and don't want to do anything, you know, and you can be in that moment, but let it just be a moment. Don't let it turn into a week or a month. You gotta pick yourself up and, you know, find people who can check in on you and keep you accountable, you know. I think that's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Does having a daughter help?
It does. I mean, you know, she's the best thing that happened in my life, really.
Yeah.
And, you know, everything really changed. And now that I have her, you know, I gotta make sure I'm taking care of myself because I want to be there for her.
It reprioritizes everything. And like you said, I think too, like when you go, a championship is not the most important thing in the world. One fight is not the most important thing in the world. When you have a kid, there's evidence of that every day, right? Every day you wake up and you see that kid, it's like, that's more important than anything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to make sure that you're able to do the best and be that example, you know, like you have to make sure that you're good.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, teaching her how to navigate through her big emotions. You know, I'm really teaching myself again, reaffirming, you know, what I should do when I'm going through a meltdown or a breakdown. And, you know, a lot of the times the things that I tell her, you know, it's like, oh, that's good for me to listen to as well.
Yeah, it's interesting when you have kids because like you see behaviors in them that you're like, oh, that's me. Like, yes. Oh, like, and like, you're like, oh, I completely empathize with that little girl. I mean, you know, when my daughter's being stubborn, I'm like, yeah, because she's me. Like, that's exactly what I would have done. That's exactly what I would do today. And I think that's a great point that you do go, well, I'm helping her work through this, but really, like, I should be listening to my own advice here too.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, that's all we're trying to do is pay it forward and do better for our next generation. And, you know, when I think about what I'm doing with FightStory, I think about Ava and how I want her to grow up and the kind of communication that I want to have with her and making sure that she can really come to me to talk about anything, the good, the bad. You know, I want to hear it all. And that there's no shame in that. There's no, you know, you're not any less of a person to be going through these struggles or emotions. It just makes you, you know, real and human. And we're all going through that. We're all in the same and we can connect through that. So, I mean, you know, it's a journey for all of us.
Yeah. Do you still train at all? Like, do you train for pleasure or exercise or anything like that? Or have you kind of stepped away from everything?
I have tried to, you know, keep up with exercise and, you know, I always love training. I still will go in and I'll grapple, you know, once a week, twice a week, but trying to find a new outlet for me to still take care of my physical health, because I know, like, my body, if I'm too stuck in work and I've been overwhelmed with that, my body's telling me you need to move, and I know that I need to move, but reprioritizing why I'm exercising, because my whole life I've been, training for a fight, and that was the main goal. But now reprioritizing that, you need to exercise and move your body for your health, for your mental health, your physical health, longevity. And so that's been, a work in progress for me. And yeah, it's a transitional period, I would say. Being able to kind of reframe my mind to, I'm used to pushing 110%, and now to just be okay with, okay, that was like a 40% workout, and that feels like me. I'm like, that wasn't enough. Like I'm not, So finding that balance and being okay with that, and training for a new reason now, new purpose.
Yeah, just to be healthy. You don't have to be the best in the world. That's not the goal here. We didn't go to the gym today so you could be the best in the world anymore. Like you don't, it's off your plate, luckily, right?
Yeah, my husband, he gets me. He knows, he's seen it all, and he's just saying it's like, you don't have to be working out, killing yourself, 7 days a week now, just get in there, move your body, and just make that time,
Yeah.
because I tend to bury myself in work and tell myself that I'm too busy.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's like, what's half an hour of the day? And just trying to make sure that I'm doing that so it helps with my mental health. Doing all these things now that I can focus on and do to take care of my mental health. That's really what I've been prioritizing.
Yeah, do you take like time out or like have little pockets where it's like, I need to just do some stuff just for pure enjoyment. Like I just like doing this thing and I'm just going to do it because I enjoy it. I don't have to do it at the top level. I don't have to be the best at anything. There's no other responsibility here other than I just get pleasure out of this.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find it. I'm learning. I'm trying new things. I mean, what have I been doing lately? Cold plunging lately. And it's a challenge, but it feels great after you get out of that cold plunge and you're like, I feel like I can do anything now. I just did something really difficult. So I think that's
You need a
good
challenge though.
thing.
You need it needs to always be a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I think challenges are good though, because working through that and coming out on the other side, you just get more resilient.
Yeah.
And I think challenges really help to stretch you and grow you, but just make sure that it doesn't get too much where, you break.
Right. Do you ever have a moment where you're like, I'm just going to go watch this movie, or I'm just going to go I don't know, whatever, sit down and watch this TV show or go to this concert or anything like that?
Yes. My moments that I like to take it out, take time for is I will stop everything, bring my daughter outside, and we'll go play outside for a while. We'll go
Yeah.
for a walk, or we'll have a beach day. Like, let's just go to the beach. I need to just reset and let's be in nature, feel the sun, see the water. And I think, it's so important to do that. A lot of times life gets busy, right? And we don't have time to make for this. But really, we do. It's just about where you're putting your priorities. And a lot of times people are hardwired to think work, 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 work. That's what you need to be doing to make money, to be successful, to be happy, when really you don't need that. You can do what makes you happy. You can find the time, just need to reprioritize it. And it's not like every day you can do that, but hey, once a week or once a month, like, make sure you do something for yourself that brings you joy, that helps you to de-stress. It's going to make a huge difference.
How great is it to not have to worry about making weight anymore?
I was just talking about this, and I was, when I was competing, I would get insane food cravings because, you're eating so clean for, 8, 10, 12 weeks. And, your body is just missing and craving. I don't know what I had a huge sweet tooth, so it'd be like sweets, cookies, and all that. I would watch food videos, like save them on my phone, bring my snacks with me. And now that I'm not fighting, like it's weird. I don't get cravings as much anymore. And also I feel like when I do eat something that I used to really love, I don't appreciate it as much. And maybe it's because I'm spoiled because I have access to it whenever I want.
Right.
But I think that your mind is so powerful, and the way that it can just almost like trick you. Like I would crave something so bad, and then I take one bite of it after make weight, and then I'd be like, no, I don't want it. No, I'm good. And I've been dreaming about that for like weeks on end. So, but yeah, I think, like everything in life, I was telling myself maybe I should just, do this thing where I cut out sugars for a while, and I think it's good, it's healthy, but then also to just get more of an appreciation for things. There's a saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And it's really true. Yeah.
That also goes back to your mentality of like, if you can create a challenge and it's a reward, it's like...
It's my competitive side.
Yeah.
It's never going to leave.
It really is never going to leave. Have you thought about, is your daughter, are you going to get your daughter involved in the world of martial arts?
So she is 2 years old and she already had a couple of classes. There are these tiny tots class we just added to the gym. My husband and I have a jiu-jitsu gym in Hawaii called United BJJ, and it's very, very much basic things, learning how to break fall, learning positions, pretty much learning how to listen to the coaches. It's been so great. She loves it. And we'll see where it goes. We definitely aren't going to be the ones stopping her. She's so used to seeing us in the gym environment, but, we want her to find her passion and what she likes. And so, we're going to encourage her to try many different things, and, whatever it is she gravitates to, we're going to help support her in that. And I think it's important, each child, individual, we all have different things, that we like and don't like, and just help guiding her to finding her out about herself and, really like who she is. And so that's all I want for her.
Yeah. Which is really interesting because I feel like you're kind of on a parallel path where you're looking for like the next thing that's going to make you, that you're going to be that passionate about, right? As you were about training MMA. Do you watch MMA? Do you keep up with the fight still, or did you need to distance yourself a little bit?
In the beginning, I did distance myself from everything for a bit. But yeah, I still have a huge passion for martial arts, for MMA. I get really excited when there's big fight cards on, and definitely tune in. Me and my husband, we're still both really big fight fans. Yeah, and it's something so familiar, And going back to that and being able to still be a part of that world, and it's nice.
What do you think about the sort of boxing infusion stuff that's kind of happening, like Francis's fight against Tyson Fury? Were you into that? Were you watching that?
Yeah, I tuned in, and I think it's great. I mean, the more opportunities for fighters, the better.
Yes.
Right? And
100%.
Being able to try all these different avenues. I mean, with one championship, we have so many different sports in that one organization. We have the, Muay Thai, kickboxing, even grappling, jiu-jitsu now. And I think it's great because one's been putting on these super fights and, seeing like the champion of like Muay Thai and how the MMA champion's going to do. And it's exciting, and for the fighters being able to do what they love, but also having options to do other things still within the same realm. I think it's great. And the more options, the better.
Yeah, I think it's really cool watching combat sports in general kind of expand and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and seeing one make such an impact in the United States over the last, I'd say year or so has been really, really cool. For those that don't know or haven't checked it out yet, Amazon Prime, of course, is where you can go and check out One Championship. They're doing monthly shows over there now. There's a show last Friday. Just really, 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 really cool stuff. And yeah, and they've been so supportive of everything you're doing with FightStory and helping you kind of get that word out. I think that that's really, really cool thing to see, that you step away from that organization as an active fighter, but they keep you in the family.
Yeah, I love One. We've always had a great relationship, and I think, as my career rose, I got to see the organization grow as well, and we both grew together at the same time, and so it's been great, and I'm so supportive of their expansion into the U.S. and rooting for Hawaii to be on there as well. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing what's next, especially with the women's division with Stamp, and yeah,
When do you head back to Hawaii?
on Saturday morning.
You looking forward to it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Gonna hit the beach again. Good. Well, good for you. It's been great talking to you. I really appreciate you coming out here. And yeah, like I said, remarkable the way you're telling your story like this. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy in the sense that, like, it's just it's an insanely difficult thing to do, but I think it will help a lot of people. I think it'll normalize the fact that people are struggling, and I think it's a really good thing. So, congrats on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Come back here anytime, and definitely check out One Championship on Amazon Prime. You are unstoppable, Angela. You are unstoppable. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you. Pleasure.